can I have another wine?
You're listening to the Giggle Gang podcast.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
If you want it, just come get it.
A Giggle Gang podcast.
Just be myself.
For fuck's sake.
You know, sometimes people pay me to say ridiculous shit, and sometimes I just say it for free.
Jesus Christ.
You're listening to the Giggle Gang podcast.
It's that I've made him fucking look a fool. I was just like, I'm not Muslim. I'm not from Liverpool. I make no comment about the grooming gang accusations. And then he started ripping him for being a fucking idiot and being racist, and just fucking properly gave it to him. And then the story kind of got a bit bigger than me. It just kind of became like everyone fucking threw their 2 cents in. Everyone was commenting. Somebody screenshot it all and put it on a blog, and everyone was like, he's blacklisted now. He's never going to perform in any comedy clubs again. That's completely unacceptable. He's booking a show now. It's been a few years. At the time, I was like, to be honest, I think like you can't really fucking.
Because he's a skinny kid from London, isn't he?
I thought he was from fucking Leyland Preston. I've never met him, but like
because he came to do King Kong, and everyone was like, "Oh, Russell Bland's here, Russell Bland," and I had no idea who he was. And then he got on stage. He did jokes about like killing children. And he just got gonged off after about 40 seconds. So I didn't really get the full like Russell Bland experience.
I think, to be fair to him, like I mean, I don't know exactly. I don't think he necessarily, in my personal opinion, learned much from that experience or used it to temper his behaviour. I've had certain run-ins with him in the future, which has made me think he's not really learned anything at all. But it's not my job to be the fucking anyone's teacher. Do you know what I mean? But like I said, you know, it's not like, particularly in the current climate we live in, what I said was, and there's like evidence of it. There's repeated posts, or he's probably deleted the post, but there's a blog somewhere that somebody has screenshot this all on. I'm like, there's no point fucking ostracising, because all you do, you ostracise him, is push him into the waiting arms of a bunch of fucking racists who'd be like, oh, did you lose your life, did you? Do you know what I mean? Like, if he's not allowed to continue with his life, if he's not allowed anywhere near this, he's not going to change his mind, do you know what I mean? You just push him in the waiting arms of fucking UK.
And they're like, come with us, come
with
us.
I mean, I'm not saying it is acceptable to fucking tell a Hindu Indian from Newcastle to fuck off back to Pakistan, you scouse Muslim grooming gang cunt, or whatever the words he used were exactly. I'm not saying that is acceptable, but like, I don't know, fucking... The universe is an eternal battle between rehabilitation and justice, and I like to think I'm more on the sides of the rehabilitation thing. I don't think he's going to learn anything by us telling him he's not fucking welcome anywhere where people might tell him his racist views are wrong. Do you know what I mean?
I guess.
Like, if you fucking like, I understand the point, but I don't feel like... I feel like stopping people being racist is very different to scaring people into just not uttering their racist thoughts.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
All you do is, if you do that, is if you create the situation we see today. Do you know what I mean? And I think people, if you want to really change minds and win hearts and imaginations, you've got to do so with love, empathy and forgiveness. You can't just do it with fucking shouting at people and telling them what to do, even if what he did wasn't... I'm not saying what he did wasn't inherently wrong, but like, if there is a victim, it is me, because it was directed at me, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm saying like that, I don't think ostracising him from the fucking entirety of his world is the correct way to go about making him less racist.
See, I find it interesting what you said, where we've got to either stop people from saying racist things, or we're stopping people from thinking racist thoughts, or being too scared to say their racist thoughts. And I feel like a lot of people are stuck somewhere in the middle of that. They have the racist thoughts, but they think, I'm not allowed to say that, but they are still racist.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm one of them.
I think we all are to a degree, do you know what I mean? I think we all do have like racist, sexist, or whatever thoughts, like fucking intrusion. If you like, especially if you're a comic, you best hope you fucking have those thoughts.
Yeah.
Like, because, you know, intrusionary thoughts, like, it's half the creativity, do you know what I mean? But it's half of human existence, like, but I don't know, like, I think just, like, they're there, but like, making somebody less racist, or making somebody fucking like, if you're, as a human being, to really unpick your ideals and your values that sort of shape who you are and shape the opinions and statements you make, that goes back like decades. That goes to your childhood. That goes to like fucking just flash experiences you might have had, things you might have taken up from a movie. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's this study where 2 psychologists who never should have been given the chance to adopt a kid were given the chance to adopt a kid.
Right.
And they did experiments on this kid, which was just terrible. Like, they wanted to see if they could condition fear into it. So they give it like this white rat to hold, and every time it held this white rat, one of the other fucking parents would come up behind it and just smash a gong in its ear. Terrible. I am aware.
How old's the child?
Fucking like an infant. Like, yeah, it's awful. I know, like, goes against any standards of like ethics we know about like experiments now. But like the findings were interesting because they found that like this kid was then just scared of anything white and hairy. Like, not just rats, like they couldn't bring it, like anytime it saw Santa it started crying, and it developed this. And like, to unpick all of that as a human being, if you look at it in the frame of racism, that's going to take time, and that's going to take self-experimentation, and that's going to take still getting it wrong quite a few more times.
Yeah.
And to help a human being as an individual unpack that, and to look at it from that perspective and less of a systematic one, that takes time, and that takes forgiveness, and that takes a fucking arm around the racist. You know what I mean? That takes love and affection, in my personal opinion. Or, you know, we could just fight, which it seems we're heading that way anyway. So fucking why listen to me?
I'm enjoying this conversation, but can I ask one thing for the benefit of the listeners?
Go ahead.
Try not to bang the table or just touch the table.
Sorry.
And I know you're very animated when you talk, but the way this microphone sits, every time you touch the table,
I got a lot
it just
of
goes
energy.
boom, boom, boom through the air. I know you've got a lot of energy. Don't tie your hands behind your back like you're fucking being held hostage here.
It's oh shit! See, I've done it again. I'm fucking moving the chair. It's self-inflicted. It's self-inflicted.
You can sit back if it's too much, and I'll bring the microphone closer to you if you're comfortable. But you can put your hands in your lap and whatever. You know, that's.
I'm stretching them now, mate. I'm working my trials the other day.
So tell me what it's like in London, because London is the most multicultural city in the UK. Have you experienced any racism since you've been in London? No?
Nah, no racism since I've been in London.
Is it almost impossible to experience racism in London?
Nah, you read stuff about it. You read loads of stuff about it in the papers, you know, like anti-Semitism on the bus. The thing about racism in London is usually from one ethnic minority to another, which is the fucking weird thing.
Right,
It'd be like, you know, often the cases of anti-Semitism on the buses are usually from like somebody of like black or Indo-Pakistani heritage, which is quite weird, you know what I mean? Like, there was another one where two Spanish ladies got attacked and got told to speak English in England, and again it was by two Afro-Caribbean ladies that attacked them. Like, it's weird like that, London. It's crazy multicultural. I think it is definitely, as I've given from those examples, you see a lot of racism in it. You see it is possible to be the victim of racism, but I've never really experienced it. I think the belts where I spend my time mostly in London are sort of central London comedy clubs.
Right.
And there, you're very, very, very unlikely to. Although on New Year's Eve, saying that, I've seen racism.
Yeah, now that I think about it.
Yeah, shit, I was like, in fact, I was off my chops, man. It was New Year's Eve. It's like warehouse house party, which was like, it was like half house party, half warehouse.
Okay.
Like, it was crazy. It was like in a warehouse that people lived in, and they were doing it for charity.
People lived in there?
Yeah, like they had bedrooms, and like the main room was like a massive warehouse and a kitchen.
Wow.
Yeah, like it was crazy. It was a cool little living space. It was archetypal London living space.
Right, okay.
But they like just basically like they set up this party, put a bunch of names on the guest list. My friend Pav managed to get me on the guest list.
Okay.
With free entry, bring your own beer, bring your own drugs. But then they also had a bar selling Carlsberg for £2.50, and it was open till 8 in the morning. And apart from the racism, really good party. But like, no, what happened was like somebody was trying to serve beer, and somebody like asked for a straw at the bar. This old Afro-Caribbean fella, he was on a crutch. He looked just a bit crazy, do you know what I mean? He looked like somebody who'd been at the sesh for a good 2-3 decades, taken many a fucking pinger, and now his mind was just a bit addled and he didn't know how to handle human beings. You know, you see those people, you come across them, and like the last...
Are you just saying pinger for my benefit, or is pingers what you call them here?
We call them cowies up north, but pingers are common as well.
Because Australians call them pingers. Like
pingers.
That's our thing. But I've never heard a British person
cowies,
ever say pinger.
Pingers, Garys, Eckies, obviously. But cowies, pingers, and Garys are the ones I know the most. Yeah,
I love Garys.
I don't know where Garys come from, actually.
Gary Neville.
Cowies. I don't think I had anything to do with Gary Neville, even though his jaw does look slightly detached from his face, but nonetheless...
That's exactly what it is, right?
But yeah, there was an East Asian lady who was... a lady of East Asian heritage, should I say, who was serving at the bar. And this guy asked her for a straw, and she didn't know what he said. And then, like... But he asked it really forcefully. Like, and she just like, look, no, you can... And then, like... She was like, do you speak English? Do you want me to say it in Mandarin? And she was like, what the fuck? Just get out now. And then I was like, I fucking stepped in. I was like, mate, that's completely out of order. Yada, 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 yada.
So he was saying that to the barmaid?
Yeah.
Right, okay. And she was Chinese or...
She was East Asian, yeah.
Right,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And so he was just being very condescending because she couldn't understand, I want a straw.
Well, basically, warehouse rave, tunes blazing untouched, you know what she said. But he asked it in quite an aggressive manner to begin with, which I think naturally rubbed her up the wrong way.
Yeah.
And then she was just like sort of turned her head from him, and then he kind of like was going on as if she couldn't hear because she couldn't speak. But that was just, a deliberate ploy to get under her skin, and it didn't really work in his favour. I think he got thrown out in the end. Because the women walking behind the bar were the women who lived in the house.
Yeah. So it's like, have some fucking respect, you know?
Yeah. Like, you're literally in these people's house. Like, how are you going to tell her to fucking go back to where she came from? You're in her house.
Were they posh? Were they like, was it like rich people or
the guy being racist, or the guys behind the
people that own the property, like the people that were living there?
I think they were sort of. I don't want to make any sort of affirmations after all these people let me into their house and had a lovely time. But I think they were standing like well-to-do, upper middle class London professionals, you know what I mean? Sort of consultants and a few other random things, and we're. But
like the layout of the house, would you like? Oh, it looks expensive to live here. Like, do you know what I mean?
The area is quite cheap. I think the area is one of the cheapest in London.
Right.
But the house itself, like, because of the size, I would have been like, yeah, it's massive. But it's like in a warehouse district. It's not really a residential area.
Right.
So I don't know exactly how they've done it. It must be some sort of one of them like kind of half squatting type scenarios where you're not quite squatting, but you've converted a warehouse. You see these motherfuckers like on E-Bombs World and shit who've like, bought a fucking...
Hang on. What is E-Bombs World?
E-Bombs World. It's like...
I always learn about some new fucking thing when I speak to you every time.
E-Bombs World is like his website. Me and my mates just like discovered it when we were like 9. It was really funny. It was this guy with a blog going on rants and shit. It was like a proper archetypal 90s website. So funny, loads of like brutal dark humour. And now it's just like with social media and stuff, it's just popularised, and now it's got like a Facebook page, and it's somewhere between like just brutal humour and somewhere between 4chan. It's like it's placing itself somewhere between what I consider actually quite funny, edgy humour, and then also just sometimes maybe the alt-right. But I've not seen any too much evidence of alt-right material it produces. But like the people who follow it, I'm like, I ain't sure I'm in the best company here. I don't know about this. But like, yeah, they shared one with like a guy. Like, it's just cool shit people doing around the world, random cool shit they'd expect sort of young, lonely individual men to do, I suppose.
Is it mainly men?
Yeah, like 90%. This guy had bought a garage, like just a garage unit for 10,000, but he was like a proper handyman and knew how to use YouTube to just do anything.
Yeah.
Basically converted it into a more than livable luxury house. He had like a huge TV, he had heating, he had running water, toilet, a shower.
I love how your interpretation of an awesome renovation is he got a huge TV. That was the first thing I was like, man, this guy can renovate any house.
But the TV was wider than his walls, you know what I mean? The fucking garage was about as big as his room. That was a big TV. I was like, fucking hell, he started strong, yeah. That's the first thing I want in a house, a nice sized telly.
Did you see? There was an article in the Sunday Sport. Now, I know everyone listening, well, probably not everyone listening to this, but Sunday Sport is like a satirical joke white van drivers newspaper here in the UK. And
it's also a porno.
It's also a porno?
Do you not read the?
I've never actually got a copy of it. I've just seen
so when we was like 10, 11, like as the internet was coming in, but we still didn't know fully how to navigate that shit.
Okay.
When we like first discovered porn in the bushes, it was the Sunday Sport. So what we did was we used to go in the local corner shop. Not my dad's, for the record. We used to go in the local corner shop, and like we used to get the Sunday Sun. So all the papers were on the bottom shelf. So you used to go to the bottom shelf, get the Sun, turn it over, so they'd scan the back where the sports pages are on, and then you like if you go for, oh my god, it's porn. It's porn.
Like
porn.
like Ralph and all, like Playboy and all the other ones.
It's I mean, you probably never see any like exposed vagina.
Okay.
But, that's the limit. Do you know what I mean? Like
that's the limit.
It's FHM lads mag style at the very, very least. Yeah.
Because I was talking to a guy in Sheffield before I'd moved here about the Sunday Sport, and he goes, "Oh, it's a stupid magazine." He's like, "It's just purchased by white van drivers and pedos." I was like, yeah. And I was like, "Oh no, it's funny. Like the articles in there are hilarious." But this guy, right, well, he's apparently from Newcastle, a plumber from Newcastle, and he said, "I ordered a 42-inch TV on Black Friday, right, and I was shocked to have arrived at my door a 42-inch transvestite. So it was a dwarf man dressed as a woman, and it was listed as TV, and he was like, the article was ridiculous. It was like, oh, I obviously wanted a telly, but I ended up with, Yakuza or whatever the name was, and it was like, so, we started off with a bit of hand stuff, but, it wasn't as good as the telly."
Sounds like a man after my heart. What is it about Geordies and fucking big tellies? I've seen a few of the articles online recently, sort of shared on Facebook, and they are hilarious. I give you that. Like, they're very much. They're sort of like a bit of that chip off the old block, like sort of Viz, like the old Viz sort of articles and letters. They're a bit like them, but with like almost Stuart Lee levels of Flights of Fancy in there, and that is going to be. I hope that quote. I'm reading his book at the minute. I like Stuart Lee, but I'd like that quote to reach him. That the Daily Sport is like him meets the Viz. He would be so offended, but nonetheless, it just does have these. It's like the Viz, but just it goes on and these mad Flights of Fancy, and it's a news story, not just a short letter. But like that's online. Like we won't look. I can't tell you if that's always existed or if like as times moved on and this is now cancel page 3 sort of environment, they've just kind of diversified it and less. Ironically enough, that sort of fake satire news is less risky. Or if that has always been there, because if it was always there, I couldn't tell you, mate. I was looking at the titties. I was looking at the titties and more fucking titties. I was not looking at that.
How old were you when you saw your first like real life pair of titties?
What, in my face?
Yeah. Well, not in your face. Maybe just like passing by or whatever.
What, just fucking like just sort of
I'm just asking
went on a holiday to a German nudist speech at the age of 13 or something like that. Do you mean like an actual pair of...
Alright, let's say, how old were you when you first saw titties that weren't a member of your families, and then how old were you until like you could touch them and they were like there? Or did that happen?
Wait, did I see them like, I seen them and they're not my families, are they on TV or are they in real life?
No, in real life. Like for example, so my first pair, okay, was I did representative swimming when I lived in New Zealand, so I would have been about 11 years old. Okay, and accidentally, okay, I decided I was going to go into the girls' change room just because it was funny. All right, so walked in and I just didn't expect like naked women, but they
Predator
were
or prankster, who knows?
Well, they were like 50 years old, and I was like, it was basically like seeing my mum. My mum was younger than these women, and I like walked in and I was like, oh, sorry, and they were like, oh, never mind, love. Like they had no issues with it, and I was like, that was not like the saucy tale I was expecting to get out of it.
That is a man who has been influenced by porn before even seeing porn. Harper, walk into this woman's changing room, I'm gonna have a 5-some with fucking really attractive women. No, that is not how it works.
No, not at all. Not at all.
To be honest, I can't remember. I've probably seen a titty or two in a swimming changing room. There were a lot of unisex changing rooms at the pools I used to go into when I was at
Really?
Well, I think most of them, even were they unisex, or I think there was some unisex, and then some just the fact that I'd go in there and I'd go in there with my mum or my auntie, and they'd take me at the women's, as opposed to take me at the men's, which is probably an understandable decision. I don't know, probably 14, 15, 16. I was at a house party and fucking loads of lasses used to get them out at the house parties then.
Yeah.
So I'd probably seen one then, and.
I was expecting like names, dates. Like I was expecting it to.
I remember the first time I grabbed some.
Okay,
I'm gonna give names.
Okay.
It was like me, another guy, kept over at this lass's house, and like she had 2 friends. I don't know what the fuck it was, just teenage hormones or whatever. But like we never really did anything, but we all kind of agreed that would be a good idea for all the men and all the women to give each other chest massages, and we just all got topless, and like these 3 women all had fucking huge bazongas as well.
But they're all like 15.
No, I was 15 as well.
Oh, right, okay.
We were in the same year, and then there was guys.
Yeah, I know you were 15, but I'm saying like they weren't like 36 or anything.
Yeah, no. If any of my friends
15.
are listening, I can't say the names, that's not fair. But
no, that's fine.
If they ask me in person, I'll tell them who it is. And they'll go, oh yeah, that's a good bazongas you got your hands on there. It was a nice evening.
So who came up with the chest massage idea?
I'd like to think it was me, but I don't think I had the balls back then. I did not have the balls back then to fucking put that forward. It was probably the older guy. He often was getting with girls a couple of years younger than him and sort of knew the way around sort of how to... I don't know, back then you still fucking don't even know if women have a fucking sexuality then, do you know what I mean? Yeah. You've got all these ideas and shit running through your mind, but you want some. But he was kind of like aware that, fucking... If you talk to them, actually, they're fucking, they're fucking down for this kind of shit. They just don't want to be fucking have rumours spread around school and so on and so forth. So I imagine it was his idea. I don't know. I must have been about. If I wasn't 15, I was 14. No, I think I was 14, not 15.
See, the funniest thing with girls is that for a lot of them, no one ever likes to be branded as a slag or as easy, right? But what I found, now not from my own experience, but usually from people with more balls than I had, right, is that they all actually want to be a bit of a slut or a bit of a slag, but they never want anyone to know about it. It's always the secret slut.
Well, yeah, I'd use different words, innit? Like, women have a sexuality, but it's fucking half of them and navigate fucking schools, you know what I mean? At school, you actually with one person, then fucking all the men are like, fucking, do you know what I mean? Like, fucking, oh god, the amount of times that shit happened at school where, like, some fucking poor girl was
we
got
found
titties
out-
out on webcam or some shit. The guy fucking screenshotted it and shared it everywhere. Don't fucking laugh at this. This isn't funny. This is fucked up, man. This is stopping us getting some, and is perhaps that is not the reason I should probably put forward my feminism. It's stopping us getting some.
We found out about a secret slag after we left school, right?
You've got to stop using these terms, man. I had to cancel the last one, but maybe cancel this one as well.
Because no, it's fine. We're going to get into some of the stuff we did on the last one because I listened back to it and I thought, what was the good bit that we can continue on to this one, right?
For the record, I don't condone anything that he's about to say.
No, but we left school, right? And I was talking to guys, and we'd probably left school maybe like 3 years ago. And it was like, oh yeah, I'd slept with her. Someone else was like, I'd slept with her. But nobody knew. Turns out she'd slept with like 10, 15 different guys, right? It was like an insane amount. But no one knew because she wasn't picking the best looking guys, right? She wasn't picking the most popular guys. She was picking the shy guys that she could manipulate to say, never fucking tell anyone about this or it'll never happen again.
What a fucking legend.
She was just secret slutting all around, and like we saw her like out, and we were just like, maybe she's still the same. The secret was out by that point. Like she was kicking it out wide. I was like, no way, you go, girl. But I did want to talk to you because one of the highlights from the last podcast, and we can't say why we can't upload it, but it did get uploaded for a couple of days. You messaged me frantically.
For a few reasons, man,
You messaged me saying something along the lines of, get that down right now. I'll do another one. And here 5 months later, we're recording another one.
Yeah, I was very drunk, very, very drunk. I was eating steak. I'm now vegetarian.
Proper vegetarian?
I'm vegetarian at the minute, but it's been like, me being vegetarian has been like a 3-year Brexit process. It's been on and off for a while. But at the minute, but that's not why I cancelled not eating the steak. I was drunk.
Yeah.
Slurring my words, I was chatting a lot of shit. I was talking in an accent. Sometimes that happens when I get drunk. I fucking talk in an accent that is not mine. I just start putting on fucking voices.
When you rang me on the phone, I was like, I don't know if that's Raul or not. Like, it says his name.
Yeah, fucking when I get drunk.
Because I've been listening to your other voice today.
Very fucking. I was listening. I was like, this isn't how I fucking sound. Who the fuck is this guy? But that happens all the time. It's why I'm like half decent, and I say half decent, and that's generous still with accents. But I grew up with a lot of different dialects around me.
Yeah.
And so kind of when I'm drunk, I kind of either become very Geordie, which is my natural go-to when I'm not putting on any sort of face, or just start fucking. If I've been watching, I think I was watching Power at the time, that's what it was, and I was quite encapsulated by Tommy Egan, and subconsciously I just sort of empathised so much to the point where it's just this bit of New York in the back of my head that was coming out. But it was that, I was a drunk, I was referencing some friends I probably shouldn't be referencing. Saying some shit legally that I probably shouldn't be saying, but I've been having some fucking issues with somebody through the whole Fringe, and I was worried it might take a further step. And I was drunk and I was sort of fucking saying that shit more for my own fucking bravado than anything. But there was that, and then I also called a prime minister. I call a leader of a country a Nazi and a dictator and a fascist and shit. And I recently just done quite a big project, some work whereby I don't know, it might have caused more of a political storm than I could have really been asked for.
Right.
If that makes sense. It was an unlikely chance, but there was still an outside chance of it happening, and I just didn't want to feed that particular. Fucking what that would then turn into, that big argument in the press and so on and so forth.
Well, I did want to address today, you posted a post about fake war, you know the one.
Yeah.
What is actually happening? Because it seems like you know more than most, definitely more than me.
Oh man, I have a lot of free time, so I read the news every day. And also, I studied political science as a master's here in Manchester. And economics as undergrad, so I have some sort of understanding of international relations and political affairs. Basically, this fake war thing, I love it, man. It's a fucking get-out clause. So in about, I think it was February last year, a terrorist group that had links to Pakistan, but somebody very much kicked off at me for saying it was Pakistan because Imran Khan and the government have denied any knowledge and any association with said group. Right. But this group that were associated with Pakistan launched an attack that killed 40 Indian soldiers in Kashmir.
Yeah.
India and Pakistan, man, the thing about war people forget is that it's not just governments dragging their people. So the fucking people want war sometimes, man.
Yeah.
People fucking love an outside enemy. And the Indians fucking wanted revenge, man. Fucking who the fuck? Like, they were really up in arms. And so the Indian government fucking flew a pilot over the Pakistani border into Pakistani airspace, bombed a fucking forest. Nobody was in the forest. They just bombed the forest. They fucking posted pictures of bombed out forest. posted it on Facebook and were like, yo, we fucked up Pakistan, that was a military base. But all the Indian society is seeing is just a bombed out site, and they're going, yeah, fuck Pakistan, we got them back. And then that was the end of that conflict, and I quite liked that. That was where it ended, just with the bombing of a forest. Same with Iran and the USA. The USA, now I don't know if this is the smartest or stupidest idea I've ever seen. It's obviously a risky decision, but if you're going to kill anyone illegally on foreign land in a country that might develop a strategy to try and wipe your nation off the face of the earth, make sure you kill the guy that plans the strategy. Do you know what I mean? Like, by doing that, like the Iranian...
So who did they kill?
Soleimani, who's like the second in command to Ayatollah Khamenei, I believe, who's the Iranian... I was going to say president, but he was like a supreme leader. There is a president of Iran, but fucking this Soleimani guy was higher than him.
Okay.
He was basically a peasant son. He joined the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, I think the name is, or the Corporate Revolutionary... Maybe I think it's just the Revolutionary Guards in like the late 80s, early 90s. And he was like the son of a peasant, son of like a farmer or some shit. He rose his way up, he was brutal, he was smart, he was clever. And the past few years, like the increased Iranian influence had pretty much been all of his doing.
Okay.
He was responsible for essentially maintaining power in Syria for Bashar al-Assad, and they are a Shiite group. Iran are the Shiite power in Saudi Arabia, in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
Saudi Arabia are the Sunni power, and they've been having a war for ages. And all the wars you see in the Middle East, by and large, are a proxy war unfolding of this. Iran have closer links to China and Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Saudi Arabia have closer links to America and Israel. But basically, he was like their number two. He was above the president. He was like Ned Stark, Machiavelli, and Lady Gaga rolled into one. Like, he was respected. He was a military strategist.
Who's above Lady Gaga?
He was just Lady Gaga in the sense that, like, the thing is fucking... What we don't realise sometimes is that, like, Eastern countries don't work the same as Western countries. It's why this failed attempt to sort of keep putting democracy by gunpoint in the Middle East does not work, because the idea for fucking a lot of these people who come from sort of tribal ancestors and stuff like that, the idea that they have to fucking have a passport or tell some fucking dude at the border that they're going to see their cousin is fucking ridiculous. They've been travelling these roads for years.
Yeah.
How the fuck's that going to work? And so what you see in India is a good example, right? Is like, because Hinduism's a dharmic religion, thus it's not like very based in it's not based in diktats, and it's not based in like telling people what to do, and also like it's quite open with have sex, you smoke some weed, like that's what some fucking priests do.
Yep. Because
Because of that, the fucking Hindu priests are like the Rolling Stones and the fucking Vickers rolled into one. Like, loads of them have got like sex tapes and sex scandals behind them. Like, they're properly just like the fucking rock stars, but also the religious gurus. It's crazy. So on that level, in Iran, I don't really know much about the culture or the arts or so on and so forth, but like military heroes there take a precedence in the way that they perhaps don't really in the West. Do you know what I mean? And him as a strategist that he is, he was like, people fucking loved him. Like, he was like a real role model. He was cool in the same way that Putin kind of fills that role in Russia in a way. Like, people have posters of these people on their wall in the way that they do. That's what I mean when I say he's the Lady Gaga of Iran rolled in with the Ned Stark and the Machiavelli. The Ned Stark in the sense that he was respected as this fucking great leader that represented Iranian interests and a son of Iran and represented Islam and all this, and then he was Machiavelli in the sense that he was just a great strategist. Like, he managed to maintain power for Bashar al-Assad in Syria. He helped defeat ISIS. He crushed protests in Iran, which, I mean,
are we saying they've defeated ISIS?
Sorry?
Have they defeated ISIS?
He helped defeat ISIS. He was on the front lines fighting ISIS.
But isn't ISIS still around?
Well, they're around in the same way that, like, fucking the Empire are around in the new Star Wars. They're like pockets fucking picked off, do you know what I mean? Having to do deals with fucking the Mandalorians and shit.
Right.
Like, they're not quite... like, ISIS is still around in the sense that, like, the Templars are still around. But no, the Templars are around more so because the Templars are a formed organisation, do you know what I mean? They've got, like, fucking democratic rights and shit. But ISIS, like, they'll have some guys fucking underground in Syria, like 7 of them, I don't know. They'll have a few in fucking America on their PCs planning a jihad, maybe some around here. But, like...
But the threat of ISIS is...
But in terms of, like, as a unit, the way they were, like, when they fucking actually were ISIS, when they occupied the Levant and parts of Iraq and Syria, they were fucking, like, they was impressive, man. They had, like, a system of governance. It's quite a socialist government, funnily enough. They like... had really good. They made a lot of money from oil. I think they allowed some sort of drug smuggling through, but they were very clever with how they sort of stratified their society and had a functioning society. This also, as well as giving them revenues, gave them access to weapons and caches of weapons that they could use, and so on and so forth. Like,
who was giving them access?
Sorry,
who was giving them access?
To what? Money or weapons?
Both.
Fuck it, I'll rest my slander here. I would probably wager that Saudi Arabia and Turkey in the early days. I nearly raised money for ISIS.
What?
Yeah, I nearly raised money for ISIS, but luckily I smoked a lot of weed, so that never happened. Because weed meant I didn't do much. Because basically what happened was at the start of this year. How old were you in 2011?
I would have been in year 11 at school, so I would have been 16.
Shit, man, yeah. So I'm just in my first year of university, and I'm fresh out, and I've got all these newfound ideas, and I'm finding myself at university, in a way that you only can when you move to a foreign, that's a foreign place, I say, but you're fucking 2 hours down the road. Yeah. But for me, fucking not the northeast. Meeting all
you don't need to tell me about moving to a
foreign place. Yeah, exactly.
I'm here with a brown fella in a meeting room doing a podcast.
But like fucking different, different fucking
environment.
Yeah, different environment, and you're meeting different people from different backgrounds, with different ways of life, and different thoughts and shit like this. And I'm getting more politically astute and politically aware. This is sort of the beginnings of it, and it started from, I'm 19 now. I had to vote for the first time the last year, and I started looking into it more then because I thought it was a big responsibility. That fucking of all people, you shouldn't trust me with it. Fucking democracy shit is stupid. Who would give me the vote? Yeah. But I'm reading the papers, and I'm studying social sciences as it is. And when the Syrian war kicked off, the way it was presented, and the way I suppose it sort of was like ISIS went involved. It was like these people, these citizens, were protesting against a family that had ruled for a century. They were protesting against a dictator. This dictator responded, Bashar al-Assad, by just unleashing his troops on these pro-democracy protesters, just shooting people in the street, man. And the images I've seen of them, of the refugees trying to get away, I was moved to tears, man. It was the first time politics had really shook me in that way. That had really hit me at my core. I'd looked at something happening on the other side of the world and really felt their pain in a sort of a way. And I think maybe the age, maturity side of things and coming of age in that regard was what hit me. But also, like, I don't know, it was a unique war. You've never, like, the scenes with Game of Thrones, you've never seen, I've never seen, like, not since, Tiananmen Square, but I wasn't alive then, like, this image of fucking troops just shooting on motherfuckers holding signs and cardboard and shit. It was really heart-wrenching for me. And so I said I was going to try and raise some money for these pro-democracy protesters. And then the protest that sort of became war because, shit, what do you do when people are shooting on you? You shoot back.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was looking at this very two-dimensional way, and I had no idea that I was being entitled, that I was being arrogant. I was just had the best of intentions in my heart, because I was looking at it and I was just going, it's the good versus, it's right versus wrong. I've never seen a more easy to understand conflict in my life. You have the Free Syrian Army, people fighting for democracy and their right to liberty and freedom, and you have this dictator who's trying to hold his family's interests by running riot over the rest of his community. So I was going to make these t-shirts, like, Run DMC. It was in that image saying Run FSA, the Run Free Syrian Army, and I was going to sell them on campus because Sheffield University was quite a left-wing campus and they promoted a lot of activism and shit like that anyway. So I was going to try to do that and I had all these plans and I put them together. And then I was going to sell them. What I was going to do was use the money, all the profit, and I was going to send it to the Free Syrian Army. But over time, the war got a bit more complicated. Different factions started going. The Free Syrian Army, by and large, were occupied by ISIS and became ISIS.
Wow.
And it's one of the things that I consider where I look at, like, some of these people come back and they say, no, I just wanted to fight an oppressive government. And then ISIS took over, the town I was fighting in and the regime I was fighting for. And then it was a choice of lose my head or fight for ISIS. What would you do? When I see shit like that, like, I don't want to put myself in it too far. This is when I realised I used to want to get involved and help the world and fucking and this is when I realized I don't know nothing. Like, it's best to focus on me and stay out of the big picture. If I nearly fucking end up raising money for ISIS
at Sheffield University,
out of the most heartfelt, of the most genuine empathy, like the most empathy I've ever felt in my life, the most kindness, the most hurt I've ever been for somebody else, nearly got me funding money for the world's worst or most feared or most fucking hated terrorist organisation. Clearly I ain't really got the knowledge to go around fucking telling people how to live their lives or doing whatever. Do you know what I mean?
It's such a 19-year-old first year of uni story as well.
Well, look, as I say, I smoked a lot of pot, so I just never got around to fucking setting up the website or making the fucking t-shirts or anything. Thank God, pot saved my life. If you don't smoke pot, you're a terrorist sympathizer. That's what happens. But this is the thing about pot, which is actually... giving me a lot of...
Sheffield's very own Coney 2012.
Oh, mate! Coney 2012 was the shit, man. That was the same year. That year, those were the two news stories, man. Everything changed from then. Crimea, Syria, and Coney 2012. that was when the news became
Because you were probably old enough to do something for Coney 2012.
Yeah, I shared the video.
We
all shared the video.
I bought the pack. I got the pack. I got the bracelet. I got the T-shirt.
Oh my days.
But it was like, oh, let's go out and like color the city red. And I was like, I was like 16, and my parents were like, you're not fucking going out with a bunch of these fucking people.
Yeah, man, it was the Greta Thunberg of its time in its own way. But Greta, in my personal opinion, has a lot more to fight for, and a lot. Again, this is one of these things where, like, you know, we all went in with no real information and not really knowing what the fuck it was we were stepping into. Yeah. This video was shared, and I think this was the day media scrutiny really fell apart, like in the sense that it just went viral, and it wasn't through a media organisation. It was through like a DIY media organisation, one of these startups, and it went viral. I fucking seen it on Bebo, man. Like, that's how far back we're talking about. I didn't even see it on Facebook. I seen it on Bebo. It was on all these sites though. But this is when news became less about getting the facts, and getting your story out quickly, and tugging at emotional heartstrings. Coney 2012 ruined it all, and then like within a few weeks the whole thing fell apart, didn't it?
Well, the guy went crazy. I think it all.
Well, he went crazy because obviously you would, man. That level of like fame and that level of I don't think he was expecting it to go that large and to get the response it did. And then like a week later, he was found naked masturbating to passing cars. And that's what I realized, man. Behind every good cause, there is a naked Christian fucking wanking at cars. That is. But if you look, like that fell apart, and many of these sort of movements that followed similar suits have gone the same way. Me Too is a good example. The not Remain pre-Brexit, but the People's Vote campaign, that went a similar way. Like they all go similar ways, where it seems to be this whole fucking start of hope, and a few of us jump on where we're like, oh fuck, this is in line with the ideals that we have, and oh shit, this is going to change the world, and then it gets that snowball effect, and then it meets opposition from a bunch of people who don't agree with it, and then also other people on our side have like slightly lesser issues or different issues we don't think are a priority, and then there's so many different opinions and thoughts, and fucking just falls apart straight away.
Don't you think it's more a case of people will jump on someone else's idea if it makes sense to them, but as soon as their belief or their ideas are challenged, they go, oh, I don't really understand what it means, I'm just backing out. Like, you just take your foot off the gas. It completely loses its momentum because it wasn't your idea to begin with. You jumped on it because it was, oh yeah, that was in line with something that I thought, but you can't actually quite understand the logistics of how it works. And that's, again, how the flat earth has started.
The what?
The flat earth. The people that have these conventions about the flat earth, right? These people get on and do their own research. But at these conventions, there's not that many people. The people that go are the people that are making the videos. And these videos get millions and millions of views. There's not millions and millions of people at these events. Because to go to these events, you've got to be crazy enough to back up these claims. And some people are just like, yeah, I think the Earth's flat. But I don't know that it's round. You know, you can't prove to me that it's round. And then you give them evidence. They go, that's fake.
Again, it comes down to ideals and values and shit like this, but I think my new Edinburgh show is actually about this. It's called Raul Kohli, the Kohli Bible, but it's all about belief and why we choose to believe in things. And I think, like, whether you believe in a football team, whether you believe in a political cause, whether you believe in a political party, whether you believe in a god, or whether you believe in flat earth, I think it's all the same survival mechanism.
You want to belong to something.
Sorry?
You want to belong?
But I think deep down, once you get rid of the essentials, food, a roof over your head, fucking the ability to travel, I think all people really want is love, belonging, purpose, identity. And I think that fucking, like, this flat earth shit gives them that, man. Mm-hmm. I watched that flat earth documentary and, like, within 2 minutes I was like, oh right, I see, I get it, this isn't this stupid after all. They were fucking believing these conspiracies the same reason I watch wrestling. Mm-hmm. Gives them access to a little secretive club and they get to fucking talk shit about shit that nobody else cares about. And also on top of that, man, like, fucking one of the guys that had, like, his girlfriend, she was a flat earther and she was so out of his league. Do you know what I mean? But in this flat earth society, he's important. Yeah. He's got some degree of standing. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you take him out of that, he ain't got shit. Like, he's got, what the fuck's he got to live for? I don't know. He's probably a very lonely man. His girlfriend will leave him because she's a flat earther. Yeah. He'll have the roof over his head, but his friends, his purpose, his belonging, his identity, the things that make him smile on a day-to-day basis and just remember what it is to be human.
There's no way his brain will ever allow him not to believe it because believing in it keeps him being who he is.
Maybe, I think, and maybe his brain will reach a point where one day the benefits to not believing will outweigh the costs. Or at least he will see it that way. But right now,
how hot was this girl?
How can you tell me?
Was she?
Sorry?
How hot was she?
She was a lot hotter than him, man. It was just like he looked like he should have shot up school. He looked like he shouldn't have had a girlfriend, quite frankly. And clearly, you know what? This flat earth shit stopped another school shooter, so good on them.
I've never heard that viewpoint ever.
Like, you see here, you should have shot a school. Stuart Lee wrote some amazing articles about Michael Gove because apparently they were in like a poetry thing together.
Yeah.
Where like this poetry book, Independent Voices, commissioned a bunch of independent poems from like privileged, gifted children, and like Michael Gove's apparently was all about like just this fucking lamenting of why girls choose big rugby players over nice boys like himself, and it's just clearly the makings of an incel. Luckily we don't have guns here, but yeah. You see people and you just think, yo, you are a fucking infant. You would be an incel if you lived in America, or you meet them and they're American, you go, fucking hell, I'm so glad you have not shut up school yet. But you see these guys and like, I don't know, I get the flat earth thing, man, because you can't tell me, I don't think you can make the argument to me rationally that it is for them, at the very least, the people we're talking about, that it is more rational to believe, in terms of what they will win and what they will lose in life, that you can't tell me that it is more rational for them to believe the world is round than flat. By believing it's flat, they have a fucking Netflix documentary. They have millions of views on YouTube. People are recognising them in restaurants. They got attractive girlfriends. They don't feel the need to shoot up a school anymore. That shit is bringing you the purpose and identity you need in your existence, then fucking by all means, do you know what I mean? Anti-vaxxers are different, because anti-vaxxers put us all at risk. But these flat earthers, in some degrees, I think it's a perfectly rational thing there.
How many anti-vaxxers are there, though? Because I feel like that's blown out of proportion. I don't think there's that many people that aren't vaccinating their kids.
And I think it's a lot more complicated as well. The South Park have a great episode on it where it just turns out fucking like Cartman doesn't want to get vaccinated because he's a spoiled little kid, and fucking his mum, as always, is trying her best and just fucking can't get him to sit down for the injection. So with anti-vaxxers, it is a bit more complicated. And also, I kind of do buy the arguments of you want me to let the government put a fucking syringe in my child.
Yeah.
With and they're going to tell me that they know, like, you know, how many times have the government or companies put something in fucking kids, and like, you know, fucking the CIA fucking poisoned loads of black people with syphilis in America and just let them die. Like in this country we had the thalidomide scandal. I don't know if you're aware of that.
No, I'm not aware of that, but
I think it was Johnson & Johnson, or I think it was a German company, forgive me, it might not be Johnson & Johnson. Include all of this because I ain't getting done for fucking libel. It's some medicinal company, and they basically provided like a morning after pill for sickness, for loads of...
I know exactly what it is. It was Bayer Pharmaceuticals. It was Yaz, and it was the morning after pill, but it was also supposed to get rid of acne, and it was like this wonder pill that they were trying to get, and then all these girls ended up like killing themselves and being super depressed.
No. The kids they gave birth to were like deformed and disabled, missing limbs and shit.
Oh, we're thinking about something else.
Thalidomide is what I'm talking about.
Oh, right, okay.
But
I'm talking about
many examples of this, so I sort of do buy the...
Well, the worst one was, I was watching this documentary about contraceptive pills, right? And contraceptive apparatuses, and there was this one called the Digan Shield, right, which literally looked like a fishing lure. It was like this circular rugby ball shape with like these slits down the side of it, and you'd like put it up there, and there was like a string attached to it so they could pull it out. And the problem is that obviously putting that up inside a female vaginal cavity, it was basically supposed to like block the entry to the cervix so that no sperm could get through. The problem with that was there's a lot of bacteria and shit, and it's a naturally cleaning organism, but on the string, bacteria was getting in from the outside, going up the string and then infecting the cervix, and people were becoming infertile. Their uteruses were like collapsing, and they had billions and billions of claims that were settled. And you know what the problem was? Is that they were giving it to these women in like Ghana and Botswana and all these places as like free birth control. This is the free birth control you can have, and all these women were dying and becoming infertile. It was like wiping out communities, and they were like, oh well, we might as well not give it to the white people then, because it fucked up all these black people's lives.
But with examples of that, again back to the point, like for me, I kind of have some sympathy for the anti-vaxxers or individual anti-vaxxers. You know, I mean, I don't know these human beings. I don't know their life story. But I think telling them their feelings or their fears are invalid is perhaps again not the right way to go around it.
So you're saying you won't vaccinate your children?
No, I will.
Okay. Are you gonna have children? Is that a goal for you? Is it something you want?
Oh, I was planning on never having them.
Really?
Yeah, but then fucking, I don't know. become a bit more attuned to my religion, and apparently I've got to have kids because I'm paying a fucking debt or some shit. So now I'm like, oh fuck, I've got to find fucking a wife and have kids and shit.
Why did you just trail off like really quiet?
I want to fucking find a wife and have kids and shit. I want to smoke weed out my window and do me. Live like a fucking recluse.
I thought you were going to say do meth, and I was like, Jesus, man.
Who knows?
We need to talk.
Doors aren't closed yet. I just finished reading Richard Pryor's autobiography. That motherfucker smoked a lot of meth.
I wanted to ask you, because on the last podcast we completely got sidetracked from what I really wanted to talk about. I found it quite fascinating hearing about your family life growing up in Newcastle and the run-ins within your community and the corner shop that your dad owned, and the things that happened. Do you remember what we had talked about?
With regards to corner shop, or...?
Yeah, just like the drama that would happen like where you lived.
Oh, the corner shop. Yeah, the corner shop was crazy, man. I think growing up I was very blessed. I think I had quite a fortunate experience. I think my parents were very, very working class, but I was the youngest, so I came in pretty much just as they got themselves some working class, though I would say upper. They lived in the house beneath the shop. They had no shower in the house. They had to go to Jesmond Bath 3 times a week to shower. There was no toilet in the insides of the house. They had an house outside. Wow. They grafted at a time when assets were affordable. They bought a few of them and they did well for themselves. And then I came in as we sort of had that sort of cushion in that blanket. But that shop was placed in a rough area, sort of like where it is now is quite gentrified, as they all are these days. But it was sort of back then like right on the border of Heaton and Byker. And Byker was like renowned and still is to a degree as like a tough area. Byker, Walker, Wallsend, the East End and Newcastle, ex-stockyards and all that. And you'd see a lot of the sort of... Basically, I got a big golfing class just in my life. Like during the day at school, I went to quite a posh school. It was a private school, and then where I lived, it was a very working class area. And I think having both of those insights gave me a very, very sort of empathetic worldview, or at least a more open worldview. Whereby, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Whereby I felt like I could at the time. I struggled so hard to fit in either group because I was brown in both.
Right.
But as I got older, it made.
Were there many other brown people?
Nah. Particularly in Byker, which is pretty much my family. And then in school there was a few brown people and such. But it still made you stick out like a sore thumb. And then on top of that, I'm a bit too fucking rough for the kids at school, but then a bit too fucking posh for the kids where I live, and But over time, I think that's given us a fucking great skill set to sort of like fucking empathise with people and understand people from different backgrounds and so on and so forth. But anyway, this fucking corner shop, it just always used to kick off, man.
Did it not get robbed a bunch of times?
Oh yeah, loads. I think my first memory, I was about fucking 6, and some guy, he looked like a thief as well. He just looked like a fucking typical thief.
What is a typical thief?
He fucking had like a raggedy black fucking beanie on, like this big blue overcoat, like this one I'm wearing now, but it was woolly and scatty, and fucking baggy joggers and some fucking like odd shoes that were like Reeboks.
Yeah.
And he just
one Reebok, one Nike.
Yeah, and he just fucking like sprinted out. My mum ran out going, help, stop. And I was sitting in the car, no idea what to do. I was like 6, like, and this is like gives you an example of fucking my mum and how sort of Geordie she was. Runs out, he's run off all the way down the street. I'm just sat there playing on like my fucking Game Boy with his, looking out the car window, and my mum looks in and she goes, "Oh, well, thanks for fucking helping." I'm 6 then. What the fuck do you want me to do? Rugby tackling a homeless man carrying a fucking bottle of wine? When I got hit by a car, my mum slapped me. Like this is the type.
You did get hit by a car.
I got hit by a car when I was 13. My mum slapped me.
How did you get hit by a car?
I was dancing backwards across the road. Basically, it was a coach parked outside of school. And I was taking the piss out of my mate because he'd been like rubbed into sports there. He didn't want to go with, and I was dancing back. I'm going to go home. I'm going to eat Subway. I'm going to fucking watch like whatever TV it was I'm watching. And to be fair, it was pretty stupid. I was literally thinking as I was dancing, like, this is pretty stupid. There's a massive coach blocking my view here on the left hand side out of the corner of my eye to see if any cars are coming. I'm having too much fun. As I fucking come out and as I'm thinking, this fucking car just fucking Range Rover just goes boom. Fucking I slide up, smash off the windscreen, smash onto the floor. My mum runs out, Raul, what the fuck? Runs over, slaps us, and the guy who's driving runs out and just keeps going, "It's not my fault, it was not my fault, it was not my fault." He came out of nowhere, he danced backwards, and I was like, "You shouldn't be going 30 in a fucking 20s on you prick."
He danced backwards?
I did dance backwards, in fairness to him.
So how fucked up did you get?
Not too fucked up. My bag took most of the hit, and then I went to hospital. I think I got a couple of scratches, but nothing too serious.
Fuck, that's so hectic. Imagine hitting a child like outside of school.
And then imagine just being like, I don't give a fuck if that child is dead, but I'm not going to jail for this shit.
It's not my fault.
Yeah.
So was your mum on the bus with you? What? Why was your mum there?
She was there to pick me up, but she was parked across the road.
Oh, so she watched it happen.
The coach there, I was dancing in front of it, but like backwards. Yeah, she watched it happen. Apparently, she was thinking the same thing I was thinking when I got hit by the car, which is, why the fuck is he dancing backwards? Why if there's a car coming there, he does not boom?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If I was watching that, I'd be angry as well. I don't think I'd hit you, but I would just be like, I remember when I split my toe open, so we were playing hide and seek, right? And I lifted up a drain grate, like a stormwater drain grate. My mate Lockie got inside, and then I was like, mind your fingers, mate, watch out. Let the drain grate go. I left my foot in the way. It went straight through my toe and sliced my toe in half, right? Oh. So then my toes, like I had a sock on, right? I had shoe and sock on, but it was like a shoe like this. Like there's no fucking protection on like Adidas trainers, is there? So my foot's in there. I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm just putting it through my foot. And then Lockie's like, get me out. So he's like pushing the thing because I'm like passing out from the blood loss. I managed to reef the stormwater drain open. He quickly climbs out. I pass out on the road, right? I wake up. He's like fireman carrying me. And this guy, like I'm maybe like just a bit smaller than I am now. And he's like, how big are you?
5'8".
Small, like shorter than you, probably like 5'6", but like small. But did play rugby in like front row of the scrum, like hooker, but like the short, like stocky guy. He had like a bit of size to him, but not a lot. Anyway, it's like fireman's carrying like a 6'1", like 15-year-old, right? And he's 5'6". Anyway, thank God, because his mum was out. My dad was coming to pick me up. So as he like drops me on the driveway, my dad pulls up being like, Matthew, time to go. And Lockie's like, he's fucked himself up. And my dad literally comes over dead calm. He looks at me. I'm on the ground. I'm like, Dad, my foot. And he just goes, you silly little boy. He's like calm as anything. Goes to the car like, chill. No hurry, no rush. Grabs a first aid kit. He's like, right, put your foot up on a seat, stop the blood flow, takes off my sock, my foot's like fucking like half hanging off. He's like, okay, I'm gonna have to bandage it now, like cool as a cucumber. And he was like, well, looks like I'm not gonna get to mow the lawns this afternoon. He's like, it's off to A&E. Like, jeez. We're there for like 8 hours. I had to have my foot like sewn back together.
How do you have it sewn back together if you're missing the toe part?
So I'll show you. Do you want to see it?
Nah.
It's just
enough sleep.
It's just be the scar.
All right, Mom.
So basically, like from the side, I just got to take my fucking shoe off. So from the side, you'll be able to see the scars down either side, and the nail has now grown back over the top, but the nail will never grow all the way to the end. So if you see here, right, see how there's a scar down that side and a scar down that side there. So it cut right across there. So that bit of the toe was gone, but there's a bit of bone in there as well. So they had to like cast it as well, and then the nerve endings in the end of here, like that, I can barely feel anything in the end of the toe. Because it went straight through, so it was cut, and you can see that nail because the nail bed doesn't grow because there's no nerve endings there. It doesn't think there's anything there. So underneath that, it's just blank space. There's just nothing. So the nail just grows over it, but it'll always look fucked from that injury. So yeah, that's my little fucked up foot.
That's intense, man.
You can imagine how bad it looked like when it happened.
Yeah,
like,
it looks pretty good. Fucking 20 odd years later, whatever it is.
Maybe 10.
Yeah.
But it's.
Fuck, I nearly lost my toe on mushrooms.
What?
Yeah, man.
Can you tell the story in 8 minutes?
Yeah, I was in Amsterdam. No, I was in Utrecht doing the comedy festival, which I'm going back to do this year, which is quite exciting. But I was doing the Utrecht National Comedy Festival, and what happened was like they have like these fucking like vacuum things for smoking in.
Yeah.
Have you seen them? They're like big chambers which like breathe the, like they've got these fans in.
Yeah.
And so I was inside one of them smoking, and somebody's like, "Oh, Raul, you're on stage in like 2 minutes," and I was like, "Oh, what the fuck!" Like I just didn't realise I was on in 15, and so I put my cigarette out, and then for some reason I don't know, I'm so fucking like disorientated, leaving the place in a rush.
Yeah.
Like I somehow closed the thing on my toe, and I was like, "Oh fuck!"
And they're heavy doors as well.
But yeah, heavy
insulated doors.
Man.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit. Right, but I was like, I fucking gotta go on stage. I'm literally hopping, and then I just hear Raul, and I fucking go straight to the stage. I don't pay any attention. The adrenaline kicks in, and that was one of the best gigs of my life. Like I smashed it. Like round of applause after every joke. 1,000 people. The place went up. Like it was honestly to this day one of the best gigs of my life. And the adrenaline of that, I came off. I just had no idea, man. I met my friend, my childhood friend who was living out there. We smashed some drinks together. We had about 6 beers, just small ones, 330 ml. And then I went and did the last gig of the festival. That went well. Didn't go as well as the last one. That was, like, as I say, one of the best of my life. But it went well enough. And then after that, keep drinking. And then I took some shrooms because all the acts had agreed to do shrooms at the end of the festival. Nobody else did them except for me. I got so fucked up, man. I went to McDonald's, bought 40 cheeseburgers, came back and just started throwing them at people. And I'm on these mushrooms, and then we all go home, and I go to my hotel, and I wake up at about fucking 6 in the morning. And at 6 in the morning, I noticed that there is blood everywhere. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I started trying to trace where this blood's coming from, and I realised it's coming from a big fuck off thing in my sock. And my sock has got like most of it. So I look at my shoe, and I'm like, what the fuck's happening with my sock? And I look at my shoe, and there's a hole in my shoe. What the fuck's happening? So I take out my sock, and it's like my fucking toe is just like sort of hanging there. Like my little toe is just sort of like hanging.
Little toe?
Yeah.
Oh, that's even worse.
Obviously, when I'd shut that door, I must have just slammed the fucking thing so hard it just like cut into my toe, and I thought it dangling off. But the adrenaline of being on stage, followed by the getting drunk, followed by the adrenaline of getting on stage again, followed by the doing fucking psychedelics, when I just did not realise until I woke up.
So your
sober.
foot was bleeding that entire time?
Yeah, I was training blood along. Nobody noticed. I didn't notice.
Well, if you kept your shoe on, you'd already just filled your shoe with blood.
It did. It was fucking, I've not worn those shoes since. It was just crusty.
Because they look like you've committed a murder.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever get washed. Ever. I can tell you some more corner shop stories if you'd like.
Yes, good.
Yeah. So we totally did the first one. The second one was there's some bad ones as well, man. I remember from going there and seeing my dad being kicked the shit out of by 3 guys. That was fucked. That was really fucked. Just for no reason. They were just fucked up. And he did not know what we were doing. They didn't even remember even had the shit kicked out of him. That was fucked. Third one I remember being like, no, this one was before that. I was about 8 or 9, and I used to get loads of sweets I want from the shop, put them on the desk, and then I'd put them in a bag and take them home. But packed a Monster Munch, Galaxy Caramel, fucking Dr. Pepper. This guy, again, who looked like a fucking typical thief. They really had a fucking uniform back in the day. I fucking swear to you, mate. It was like it was like skinheads or fucking mobs or some shit. There was a style of this. It was a fucking unique look. Anyway. And then so there, I was stood in front of the fridge. The till's like directly in front of us, sort of like at a tangent to each other. So the till's going across one way, then the fridge sort of like is inverted 90 degrees. I'm stood in front of the till, watching the till. I'm stood in front of the fridge, and I see this guy. And as my mum turns her back to get him like a pack of skins or a cigarette, he grabs my stuff and puts it in his carrier bag, for which my mum's just bagged all his stuff. Mum turns around, offers him the skins, and she looks in his bag. She goes, "Where did you get that?" And he goes,
what stuff did he grab?
He grabbed all my stuff that I've been putting up there, the Galaxy Caramel.
Oh, right, okay, the sweets and that.
Yeah. And he goes, I bought it at another shop. And she goes, are you sure? And just at this moment, I was about to go, no, Mum, he's lying. He stole them. I had them right there. And then my fucking sister, the bitch, fucking put her arm around my mouth because she was like, don't get involved. You're just a kid. That was the fucking third example. So he fucking got away with my Monster Munch and my fucking Dr. Pepper and that.
No way.
Yeah. Fourth story, last 2 shop stories I tell you which are a hoot, was number 1, fucking this guy coming, he said, oh god, the time, he must have been about 6'1", but at the time of me when I was like 14, he looked about fucking 6'9", he looked the size of Kane. He used to come in joggers.
He looked the size of Kane?
Yeah, he used to come in joggers, and he used to fucking like, proper typical chav uniform, do you know what I mean? Like fucking Air Maxes, joggers, and this was in the 90s, this was back before everyone was wearing these fashionable skinny joggers, and if you wore joggers, they were hemmed in at the fucking ankle, do you know what I mean? Big baggy tune top over the top, tattoos on his arms, and fucking like proper skinhead cut, with like just a little bit on top, really looked the part. And he come in, and he bought some stuff, and I put it in as £20 on the till, but I knew, I'd registered in my head he'd given us 20. And he gives a tenner, I give him his change, and then I give me change, he goes, I'll give you 10, mate. And I was like, did you? He's like, fucking are you trying to rob us? And I just went, no mate, here's fucking your change. I did not want any of this big fucking Geordie Kane motherfucker, right?
But did he give you 10 or 20?
He definitely gave us 10. Right, and then the woman behind went, he gave you 10, I've seen it. And I was like, well, thanks for sticking up fucking now when he's left you. But my dad said he had a fucking word with him and got it back because he comes in regularly and we didn't want any beef with my dad.
Really?
But then, a week later, I'm playing outside the shop. I must have been a bit younger, probably 12, 13, because I remember like running around at the front, like in a way that, you probably wouldn't be doing when you're 15.
Yeah, I get you.
And fucking hell, it just went off like I've never seen. Police everywhere. like fucking one van, like they're all speeding down the street in like uniform strategy. One goes down like, so it's all terraced housing where we lived. So it was all like fucking back alleys and the streets. So what you'd have like the main street in the middle, that was Second Ave. Then you'd have Balmoral Terrace, and then you'd have Third Ave and First Ave, and all these streets that went off either side. And then you'd have the back alleys as well behind the houses, right? And from one van goes right in front of the terraced houses on this street, directly opposite ours. The other one goes right in the back alley, and then fucking like 2 and 2 block the streets just to make sure nobody can like run out the house and like. I'm thinking, what?
So were they surrounding your house?
No. The house opposite on the street.
So
right?
you were just witnessing.
Yeah, and I was just like, who the fuck? Like, I probably didn't think this because I probably didn't have the fucking maturity or like the knowledge of who he was. But at the time, I was thinking along the lines of, who the fuck? We've got Pablo Escobar living here. What the fuck is happening? And they're fucking barging this house, battering, ramming all. It was like the first time I'd ever seen like a police siege. This is some serious shit, you know. You didn't even see this for fucking burglary. You see this for fucking organised crime or terrorism or organised crime or terrorism alone. Fucking bats through. Fucking, and they fucking drag this guy out first and this big bag of cocaine. Honestly, fucking like
was it the guy from the corner shop?
It's the guy who fucking robbed us at the £10 change. I fucking seen his Toon shirt. I fucking seen his joggers. It was the exact same fucker who robbed us that tenner the week before.
So he didn't even need the tenner.
I was like, yeah, you fucking just a horrible man. I was just like fucking. Well, that's what you get, mate. Robbing me. That's your fucking karma, you little prick. And he got thrown in the back of the van and went away for a very long time.
No way.
And then the final top story I tell you. I fucking hoot this one as well. This is the smaller side of organised crime around the fucking Heaton area. This guy come in, right, and he looked like a thief, but this was when I was like 21. I was like,
everyone looks like
no, he just held himself a certain way where I just thought there's a reason I can't trust this man. He didn't have the uniform of the thief on, or at least not the 90s uniform. This was something like 2013, 14. I was like working when I left university and doing a bit of comedy. I was doing bits of odd jobs in my dad's shop, saving up to go travelling in the evening as well as working in the day.
Yeah.
And in the evening I'm working, and this geezer comes in and he's got all the chav gear on, but he looks just twitching. And I'm thinking he's going to start some trouble, or he's going to try and fucking shoplift. Yeah, what's wrong with this? And I'm looking at him, what the fuck is going on here? And then he like suddenly like just turns around, like shits himself, twitches, turns around. And the way the shop is, it's like you got 2 freezers in the middle, and then it's sort of like a circle around it.
Yep.
And there's a fridge at the back, and then there's a till, and then next to the till is the door.
Yep.
So he's come in the door and he's walking down this
traditional corner
left
shop
aisle.
layout.
Yeah, walking down that left aisle, and he's twitched. And then he's turned around and he's looking to sprint out the door. But as he goes to sprint out the door, his jaw drops. I don't know what he's seen. Looks like he's seen a ghost. And he runs back and he hides behind the freezer. So he's hid behind the freezer, and I'm going, what the fuck?
And you're just stood at the till.
I'm stood at the till. I'm thinking,
right by the door.
Yeah, like what the fuck is this tweaker doing? I'm going to have to do something about this. And just as I'm about to try and address it, 2 policemen come in the shop. They go on either aisle and they sort of like block him in there. And they go, look, Derek. No, his name wasn't Derek. It was Declan. Look, Declan, you know why we're here? You just robbed the Sainsbury's 3 times around the corner. You've been with us a few times before. Let's make this easy. Let's not do this the hard way, right? And then fucking Declan gets up from behind the freezer looking like a fucking whack-a-mole, right? He fucking goes, yeah, I'm not afraid to go into jail, right? But I'm going to need some tabs first. Now, for the listener, tab is Geordie slang for cigarettes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right? Fucking the police are just almost laughing, and they're like, Declan, that's not how it works. You can't just rob a shop 3 times and get rewards. Like, that's not how getting arrested works.
Did you not think to steal some
Come with us.
cigarettes?
They're behind the counter, aren't they? They're harder to steal. Come with us, let's make this easier, right? And he fucking, he puts his hand on Declan's shoulder, and quick as a flash, I've never seen anything like Declan fucking lifts his shoulder, fucking, like, shoulders this policeman in the chin, fucking knocks him into my fucking tins flying everywhere, sprints past this fucking copper, and he's heading the door, and I'm thinking, oh, fuck, what do I do here? Have I got to be like a good citizen on Grand Theft Auto and fucking hop the fucking thing and jump him or what? Like, he's not robbed from my shop, I give a fuck about Sainsbury's. They've taken more money from us in the past 10 years than this fucking Declan lad. And I'm going, oh, fuck, what's going on here? What do I do? And just as he gets to the door, just as I'm fucking at the cusp of making my decision, he fucking comes to the till, whips out a tenner and goes, 20 Lambert and Butler's, please. Now, when I'm told this on stage, I then say I took his tenner and didn't give him any cigarettes and say, stealing, it's not nice, is it, Declan? That never happened. The truth of the matter was, the police then just fucking like, oh, it was like a fucking movie scene. The police then just, as it
They
turned
fuck him up.
just jumped on him, and like they're fucking throwing him around, he's fighting them, and like it's fucking all my, like I've got fucking 2 litre bottles of Pepsi flying everywhere, chocolate milk and that flying. I'm going, oh for fuck's sake, they're not going to clean this up. I barely got the resources to look after themselves, and might look after my fucking shop after cause this fucking fuss in here. So this fucker at the fucking Crimea, and they drag him out, and his sister's out there, and she's going, leave him alone, leave him alone. They drag him out and throw him in the back of the van. They throw him in the back of the van. He goes, no, I just need one tap, please, one tap. I just need one tap. And if that is not a warning to the addiction of cigarettes that it can cause, take my fucking word. You didn't want to end up like Declan.
What a way to end. Shout out to you, Declan. Have you seen him since?
Oh no, no idea. He's probably fucking went to jail for a little bit and then probably out trying to find himself. Wishing nothing but the best.
Beautiful. Now, is there anything that you want to promote? Anything you've got coming up that you want people to know about?
My 2 biggest things are Comic Sanskrit, which is my podcast on BBC Sounds. It's all about Hinduism. And if you're interested in religion, or if you're interested in any of the topics that are atheism, gender roles, including LGBT roles, sex and relationships, marijuana, vegetarianism, or yoga, meditation, and mental health, it's probably the podcast for you. It's not as much of a... We don't look at religion in such kind of like binary black and white and western terms. It's a really modern podcast, and even if you think, oh, fucking religion, that's as far to do with me of anything. If you like the universe and shit like that, then it's really a podcast I suggest listening to. It's called Comic Sanskrit, and it's on BBC Sounds.
Beautiful. Anything else?
If you're based in Newcastle, I'm teaching a course. On
You're doing comedy course?
Stand-up comedy, yeah, for Ultra Comedy. Just ran the first one, and that went very well. I don't think any of the students would have had any bad feedback, so that's
ran the first one to completion?
Yeah.
Did you tell them not to go applying for paid spots straight away?
Yeah, that was like one of the first things I told them, because I seen fucking somebody kicking off in the fucking
somebody
forum.
kicks off every day.
Oh, but people always kick off about fucking people being ignorant, you know what I mean? And it's like fucking it's just...
I was ignorant.
Yeah, you've had it a lot, mate, but you know what it is, like I don't think you should, like, I mean, some people have, are really raising valuable points, but a lot of people are just in that forum are just fucking open spots trying to ingratiate themselves. The type of people to be the worst Nazi concentration camp guards. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, because other people are doing it, and because it is the status quo, and because while by and large, I mean, not in the Nazi camp sense, but in terms of what some of these promoters and so on so forth are arguing, by and large does have some validity and is true to a certain extent. While that may be the case there, fucking they're just arguing it further because it's the status quo and they want to try and ingratiate themselves by licking balls. They'd be that person who'd be the worst fucking concentration camp guard. I tell you, do you know what I mean? Just getting carried away and be like, oh, I'll impress them by fucking chopping off this Jew's toe. I don't fucking know what concentration camp guards did, and I perhaps shouldn't satirise such a serious subject. But you know what I mean?
We've gone from such a highlight of the story of Declan to you talking about Nazi concentration
camps. Human nature is a country, right?
Comedians.
We all have the capability to be both Jesus Christ and Adolf Hitler. That is what I leave you on, Matty. That is the best advice I give any human being who's making their pass through this world.
Beautiful. Raul Kohli, thank you very much, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for having us.